I'm going to put my chantilly, and the day you're ready to make a sauce, you combine all this. The only thing you need in cooking is to love cooking. If you don't have any knowledge, the cognac gives a kick of flavor, and the wine is going to bring all these flavors together. I'm going to pour the Bruno. I'm waiting that the reduction of the wine. I want a frosty flavor inside the dish. Hopefully, you have. Welcome to Cooking with Bruno. And today we have Sharon Farr. She's a student with me.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being here today. And you've been in all the classes already.
Yes, I have.
So you learn a lot of secrets, right?
I'm one of your better students, I think.
Yes. And the good thing, Sharon, you love eating nice food and cooking.
Yes, I do.
So what is important during the classes? We always try to teach in a simple way how to reach a fine dining experience, and always you ask many questions, and what is the most important thing to do, to ask many questions. And today we're going to make a fantastic dish, and this dish, one of them is mussels à la bière. It's a kind of way we use mussels in the northern part of France and in Belgium, and we use a lot of beer. And the best beer for that kind of occasion would be a wheat beer from a New Belgium Brewing Company. And we have a Sunshine, and the Sunshine beer is a wheat beer. And it will give a very nice taste to the dish. You can use also white wine, but on that occasion we're going to use a Sunshine beer. So the first thing you need is fresh mussels. They have to be alive when you get them on the market, and they have to be closed. When they are closed, I mean they're still alive. And they are very fresh, so you need to go to some specialized stores to get it.
And if they're alive, they're always closed?
Yes. If they're open, don't use them.
All right.
They have to be closed. What is important with cooking with Bruno is the freshness of the ingredients.
Yes.
So you have to be careful when you get the ingredients, careful about the price, careful about the freshness, and is what we're going to cook with today.
And these are farm-raised?
Yes,
correct?
They come from the northwest part of the country, and they ship through airplanes, and so you have a full freshness. Yes, you can have very fresh seafood in Colorado.
Bruno, how long would the mussels last if I brought them home? A day or two in the refrigerator?
Sharon, that's a fantastic question. When you get the mussels, what you need to do is just to rinse them with very cold water, and you wrap them with a wet towel.
Okay.
And wrapping them with a wet towel, you put inside the bowl on the bottom part of your fridge, so they can still breathe in. And at the same time, they can keep wet. And you need to wet the towel every 12 hours, twice a day.
Okay.
So like that, they will keep alive for maybe 2-3 days.
Okay.
So that's perfect. But I would suggest, if you plan to do that kind of dish, just to get it the day before or in the morning.
Yes.
And you select the very fresh mussels. It's an outstanding dish. I just love it because it will melt in your mouth when you eat it. So what you need a saute pan and just a little bit of vegetable oil, because what I want to do
And this is not olive oil, it's vegetable oil.
That's a plain vegetable. Okay. Because my favorite, and you know that you have been in other classes, my favorite ingredient to cook with is shallot.
Yes.
Because it's between a garlic and an onion flavor.
Yes.
And it will give a lot of flavor to the dish. So I cut my shallot in half, and after that, into little stripes. Because what I want is my shallot to give a full flavor.
So you're not mincing those, you're sort of slicing those.
Just what I want is, at the moment I'm going to put in the saute pan, I want all these slices give a lot of flavor inside the oil, but very fast, because I don't want to overcook, and I want a very nice flavor. So I have my shallots right now, and that's a dish where we're not going to use salt and pepper, because the mussels, they come from the sea. They still have some seawater inside the shell. So the saltiness will come from the sea. That's just a fantastic way to cook it. Always add salt and peppers to taste. But in that dish, I would suggest when you cook it, you don't need to put any salt on it. Okay? So what I want is the shallots, giving flavor to the oil. And after 1 or 2 minutes, when they're going to change a lot of color, I'm going to add the ingredient in it.
You're going to get those transparent.
Yes, transparent. You need to toss it, so like that they won't get
Brown.
too brown. I think right now is the limit of the cooking. I'm going to add some wheat beer, the Sunshine.
Bruno, is that a local beer?
Yes, this beer is produced in Colorado, in northern Colorado, and is what I like about cooking. Try to get ingredients from the place where you live. Obviously, we can't get seafood in Colorado because of the mountain area, but the beer you can get it, the local beer here, and that's an outstanding beer for cooking.
Well, what I like about your classes are the fact that the ingredients are simple and it doesn't require a lot of unusual, expensive ingredients. I think that's a real plus in your class.
Exactly. It's very important to have local products because most of the time they are not very expensive. They are actually very reasonable in price. And right now what I want to do is to have the beer deglazing the sauté pan. So it's going to grab all the flavor of the shallots. And also, this is right now too liquid.
Going to reduce it a little.
I want to reduce it about by half. So it's going to boil, and when it reduced by half, I'm going to melt some butter in it. That's the reason why I'm skinny, because I eat a lot of butter and oil. There is a good fat.
Yes.
If you know how to cook properly the butter or any kind of oil, if you know how to cook properly, the fat is a good thing.
Yes.
But you have to be careful the way you cook it. So in that case, what I want to do, first I want a reduction. If I do that recipe with wine, it will be the same way. I put white wine, dry white wine, and I reduce by half. Okay? Here it's foaming a lot because we're using beer. But don't worry, it will take about a couple minutes. It will reduce, and we're going to add some butter in it. And it's already smell.
Smells,
Wow.
Smells
Wow.
wonderful so far.
I have beer and shallots at the same time. Okay. We're going to cook today 2 pounds of mussels. So I would suggest when you cook it about 2 ounces per pound.
Is that the normal portion that you would be able to get in the store? A 2-pound bag?
No, you can order the quantity.
Any
you
amount,
want.
okay.
Yeah, there's no problem. I love 2 pounds because I'm a good eater, and by myself I just eat 2 pounds. One day I think I eat about 10 pounds of mussels, and I didn't share it. It was so good. Okay, but when you have a big party, I would suggest if you use it as an appetizer, it would be about a pound per person.
Okay,
And if you use it on an entree, use 2 pounds per person.
2 pounds per person.
Okay, but just to give you an idea about the proportion, the butter will give a lot of taste also. If you be careful about the calories, you can yes omit the butter on that recipe. This is not obligation. I do it just for flavor reason, but if you don't want this fat of the butter, you can do it without. Okay. So right now it's boiling, and there is a light kick of flavor I would like to add, because what I want is the sauce ready for the mussels. And I choose today the oregano. This one I cut it fresh this morning from my garden. Fresh oregano will give a very kick of flavor. You have many recipes with mussels, and if you come to the classes, I will give you many options. You can cook mussels with curry and cream. You can cook mussels with white wine and garlic à la marinière, as we do in other parts in France.
That's the way I've prepared them.
Exactly.
It's easy and it's very good.
And what is important of the mussels, you don't want to overcook them, because if you overcook them, we get mushy. So right now I have in my saute pan all the flavors. I have the fantastic beer flavor, shallots, fresh oregano, and melted butter.
Now, if you don't have fresh oregano, you can obviously use dried.
You can use dry. In that case, you need to use a little bit more. And you need the mussel to steam inside the saute pan. So what is important when you steam them is to cover the saute pan, because what you want is all the mussels cooking evenly, because some of them will be inside the juice and some of them on the top. So the best way to cook evenly would be to cover the dish, and you need to wait about a couple minutes. And after a couple minutes, we're going to saute them. So like that, we're going to grab all the juice and to open, because the mussels are alive the way we cook it. And what we're going to do is they're going to cook in the saute pan and open. At the moment they open, they're going to finish the cook inside and grab a lot of flavor. And this flavor, we need them inside the plate. And after that, you're going to enjoy it.
Right.
That's the most important thing about cooking. So we have just about the ingredient. You can choose a beer. I would suggest a light taste beer. I think Sunshine is a perfect one. If you want darker beer, you can do it also, depending of your taste. You can use a little bit vegetable oil to saute the shallots, because you want these flavor of the shallot in the oil.
To come through.
To come through and be in the oil. When the oil has a lot of taste with the shallots, you deglaze with the beer. Deglazing, we take all the flavor of saute pan and mix inside the beer. You reduce by half. And when it's reduced by half, you can add some fresh oregano. And at the moment you add the fresh oregano, you add the live mussels. And they're going to cook. So now I need to check now. It needs about 30 more seconds. And as a side dish, if you use as an appetizer, you can eat it like it is, in small serving cups, and put the mussels. If you want it as an entree, you can serve it next to some French fries and with a mayonnaise dip. We do that a lot in Belgium. We have a French fries and mayonnaise dip with a dish, okay? So you can see, they open by themselves.
Oh, yes.
They just open. They tell me when they're ready to be eaten,
Right.
okay? What I love about dish, you don't have to do anything. They tell you when they're ready. But just fantastic. Okay, just toss it a little bit.
Looks like that's pretty well.
I need about 30 more seconds to finish it, and because not all of them open. When all of them open, all the dish is ready. And when the first one begins to open his mouth, about 30 seconds, all of them open, okay? They're ready to go. And you can
Oh, it smells
smell it.
great.
Thank you, Sharon.
This is practically the national dish in Belgium, isn't it?
Oh, yes. And serve with French fries. Okay.
I always laughingly say mussels from Brussels.
I think that's just a fantastic experience. And mussels are not very expensive at all. It's a very reasonable price on the market. And
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh,
Sharon,
oh, it just smells
this
great.
is for you today.
Oh,
Just enjoy it.
oh, it just smells great. Oh,
And some people are asking what kind of silverware do you use with mussels. And the best way to the silverware is to use the mussel itself.
oh,
You grab one mussels,
oh, that's great.
you grab the meat,
Yeah, that's great.
and voila.
Couldn't be better.
Sharon, enjoy the mussels, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and thank you very much.
What a treat.
Thank you very much. Sharon, welcome back to Cooking with Bruno, and we're going to make now a fish fillet, a sea bass, au beurre blanc. And that recipe is just fantastic because you can make any kind of fish fillet, and with that kind of recipe, and you will have a lot of flavor from the fish. And at the same time, the little details we're going to cook with around will bring a very good additional flavor.
So you can use all kinds of fish fillets for this particular presentation?
Yes, what you need is a fish fillet, a plain fish fillet. Today we choose the sea bass. And we're going to, it's skin on, so we're going to clean it and having ready. And one little thing different, you can use for that kind of presentation to use vinegar. But today we're going to be very specific. We're going to use a beer vinegar. I'm a vinegar lover. Vinegar is, I think, is one of the oldest medicines from Egyptian.
Yes.
We know that Egyptians use vinegar as a medicine. Yes. And also for cooking, in the Mediterranean, it was very used in the cooking. And I love to use vinegar. So I make a vinegar from beer.
Yes. You also make other vinegars too.
Yes. Red wine vinegar, red wine vinegar with herbs. And this one, it was made with La Folie vinegar. That's a lemony taste from New Belgium beer. And I make that kind of vinegar. Very fantastic for seafood because it has this, as I said, some lemony taste.
Yes.
And it will be a perfect vinegar for that dish. So what you need is a sauté pan. So we're just warming the sauté pan. And when you saute, what you need is a perfect coating of oil. So like that, the fish will be in perfect contact with the heating, cooking process. And we're going to use some sea bass, okay, skin on, very fresh. So when I do that, you need to remove, okay, one tip. And you're going to remove the skin. And we're going to flour the meat. Okay. And also, because you know during the classes, we don't throw away anything.
Right.
We keep the skin. With the skin, you can make a fish stock.
Right.
Okay? So we put the skin back here. We have the meat ready. And we're going to flour. The flour is an option. Some people like much more crispy around the meat. So when you do some seasoned flour, you use some seasoned flour, it will give you much more crispy cooking on the outside part of the meat. But this is optional for you. So we use some flour. On the flour you add the perfect combination will be paprika, white pepper, cayenne pepper. These three tastes are perfect as a blend. Perfect. And if you want a little bit more flavorful, you can add some onion and garlic powder. Just a little bit because it's very powerful. Okay? So you have this mixture, this seasoned flour. You have a very good quality of fish. What you want is just to dust the meat.
Right, not a whole coating.
Not a whole coating, just to dust it. So when you will cook, it will give the flour and also it will golden brown very well outside of the fish.
Now, Bruno, isn't sautéing very fast?
It depends basically on the thickness of the dish, of the kind of ingredient you're cooking. If you have a thick product in the
Saute it
pan.
slower.
So if it's thick, you can take more time. If cut very thinner, it will cook very fast. Okay. So now the oil is hot, and we want to give some flavor to this oil. And you know already, my favorite garlic, onion is shallot.
Shallot.
So we're going to use this one. I like to cut it at the last minute because it keeps all this freshness.
It smells wonderful.
Oh, it smells like it's a perfect combination between onion and garlic. It's not overpowering in smell, but it has a very neat flavor, very neat flavor, as far as you know how to cook it. So what you want is to have this flavor now from the fresh shallot into the saute pan. So the best way to do it is to saute it with a little bit of oil. So I have my shallot. I just mince it a little bit. So you'll be ready to give some flavor. And you can smell it. It's giving right now a lot of flavor.
Just plain onion and garlic would be overwhelming, wouldn't it?
Yes. So right now, what I want is the shallot giving a lot of flavor to the oil. And there is one step very interesting on that dish, the fish filet au beurre blanc. The deglazing technique to have all these flavors together, we're going to do it not with wine, we're going to do it with beer vinegar. So the vinegar is very concentrated flavor.
Now, Bruno, if we don't happen to have beer vinegar, what do we do?
You have many options. You can use white wine vinegar
Or champagne vinegar?
or champagne vinegar. Fantastic! You have a great idea. I think this kind of vinegars are just fantastic. But you can't do it with red wine vinegar. That's too powerful. For today, so I choose the beer vinegar. You put your fish, and what you're going to do,
Oh, yes.
you're going to melt slowly the butter on it. Okay? And immediately, you're going to smell. The vinegar will deglaze and give a kick of flavor outstanding to the fish. So now what you want is to have the fish cooking properly, and the flour will have to have the meat sealing the juice inside the meat.
Right.
Okay? Because this slice of fish is a little bit thick, it will take longer.
A little longer.
Okay? But if you use, you can use trout, you can use other kind of thin fillet, orange rothy, and other kind of fillet you can cook in about 2 or 3 minutes. Or this one we need to take a little bit longer. Okay?
Well, so far it smells just great.
What I don't want on this one is to totally melt the butter and to cook the fish after that. I want the butter melting together when the fish is cooking, because I don't want to burn it.
Yes.
I'm just shaking right now. It's getting golden brown. Continue to cook. And I can add a little bit of white pepper, just a little bit, and sea salt, just a little bit.
Are you do you prefer sea salt to like kosher salt?
The kosher salt in that case, it will be it won't have time to dissolve. So when you eat the fish, you will have pieces of salt in your mouth. When it's very fine ground, that's perfect. But I prefer not to use as much salt, and people can add it when you eat the dish. It's always much easier to add it than remove it.
But there's just such a rage about sea salt right now.
The sea salt have a lot of nutritious value.
It has a different taste too, doesn't it?
And taste. So the sea salt is a very good option. One side is totally cooked. In about a minute and a half, we finish the other side. But what is important, you can play with a recipe. What I like about cooking is you can play. You can play the way you want, depending on the ingredient you can get on the market. And you can adjust the recipe always to the kind of ingredient you have. On that case, the sea bass is perfect. And it's finishing to cook on the other side. And you have already all that smell inside the room. You have the shallots with the beer vinegar, the butter are cooking properly. And it's almost ready.
That's very fast.
That's very fast. That dish is not, you can't do on the grill because you need that sauté pan to have all this liquid all together. And we're ready to serve it now. Perfect.
Oh, it does look perfect. Oh, it smells great.
And if you want to taste it, please.
Oh, I will. That's the best part of this. I'll taste right here.
Yes.
Ah.
And voila, we have a fish fillet au beurre blanc made with some beer vinegar. Sharon, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Oh.
I appreciate you.
It was great.
And thank you very much, and see you very soon.